It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage.
For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory.
Nestled in the foothills of the Alleghenies is a city called Pittsburgh. Recently, this city has been renamed and is now more appropriately entitled the City of Champions. The Pittsburgh Steelers are but one of the city's elite franchises. And last Sunday, the Houston Oilers were in town to challenge them for AFC supremacy. Houston coach Bum Phillips knows well his slim chances of beating the Steelers at Three Rivers Stadium, where they have won 15 in a row. In fact, Bum stated that the following should be his epitaph. He'd have lived a hell of a lot longer if he hadn't had to play Pittsburgh 6 times in 2 years. Last year, the Steelers were 34-5 victors in a freezing and soggy AFC championship against the Oilers. So defensive end Elvin Bethea was examined for any concealed weapons that may have given him an edge against the invincible Steelers this time around. One couldn't blame Bethea for hiding a pair of brass knuckles, for the Steelers in 1979 were a truly dominant club, solid defensively and explosive offensively. Coming off a convincing 34-14 pasting of Miami in the divisional playoffs, the Steeler juggernaut is in high gear. There are 2 reasons for Pittsburgh's domination in postseason play. One is Steeler head coach Chuck Noll. Noll is a patient yet demanding man who has been the most successful coach in pro football since 1972 and is the only one in history to win 3 Super Bowls. The second reason for Pittsburgh's unequaled success is quarterback Terry Bradshaw. For Bradshaw, it has been just another record-breaking year. And for the first time in his career, Terry went over the 3,000 mark for passing yardage in 1979. Pittsburgh has the welcome mat out, a giant terrible towel for Houston and you on the NFL Game of the Week. Terry Bradshaw, who has a penchant for accurate passing in freezing conditions, sought to strike quickly for Pittsburgh. But on the Steelers' first possession, Terry and over 50,000 Pittsburgh fans would be rudely awakened. The man responsible was number 32, Oilers strong safety Vernon Perry, who intercepted Bradshaw on only his 3rd attempt of the afternoon. Perry raced 75 yards untouched, and before the Oilers had even run one offensive series, they were up 7-0. Perry's interception set an NFL record, as his 75-yard score was the longest interception in conference championship history. Another look reveals that Bradshaw was trying to hit tight end Benny Cunningham over the middle, but Perry neatly stepped in front and was off to the races. It marked the 2nd week in a row that Perry set a record, for against the Chargers, he intercepted 4 to help Houston to a 17-14 upset win. With the Oilers up by a touchdown, Bradshaw hoped to even things. This was not yet to be. An Elvin Bethea arm around a Terry Bradshaw ankle spelled defeat for Pittsburgh on their 2nd possession. But big L.C. Greenwood, the Steelers' left end behind the Foster Grants, got more than his eyes on Houston quarterback Dan Pastorini. Greenwood's aggressiveness fostered a 9-yard loss and a Cliff Parsley punt, and the Steelers were in business. With 7 minutes remaining in the first quarter, Bradshaw looked downfield and connected with reliable Rocky Bleier. This season, Blyer established a personal record by receiving 31 passes after coming out of the backfield. He was Bradshaw's target this time because the deep receivers were covered. Again, Bradshaw would find his core of deep men blanketed. So all Terry did was sprint around the right flank for a key 25-yard gain on a critical 3rd and 14 situation. Bradshaw's quick thinking resulted in a 21-yard Matt Barr field goal as Pittsburgh trimmed Houston's lead to 7-3. Pittsburgh had broken through, and the Oilers hoped to unleash their formidable fullback, Earl Campbell, who led the NFL in rushing this season. Unfortunately for the well-meaning boys from Houston, throughout the first half, Campbell would be stopped cold in the Pittsburgh cold. Campbell's ineffectiveness proved to be a blessing in disguise for Houston as Pastorini utilized the Tyler tank as a decoy. He sent a man in motion to the right, ran a play fake to Campbell, and sent him on a fake screen right, and then eluded a fierce pass rush to fire back to the left as Tim Wilson, number 45, netted big yardage through the out-of-position, sloppy tackling Steeler defenders. Wilson's run picked up 41 yards, and a few plays later, Pastorini bagged the strategy of X's and O's and instead utilized the simple forward pass, one that was perfectly thrown over the extended hand of Pittsburgh middle linebacker Jack Lambert. Ronnie Coleman's 32-yard pickup was rewarded with a Tony Frisch field goal, making it 10-3 Houston early in the second quarter. With the gutsy Oilers reestablishing their 7-point lead, Bradshaw calmly moved the Steelers downfield. To that end, he used the best big game receiver in football, number 88, Lynn Swann. Injuries plagued Swann's performance throughout the first half of the season. But when the Steelers began their Super Bowl drive, Swann responded, and his per-catch average of 19.7 yards this year was a personal high in a career of highs. Drive-sustaining catches by Swann gave Terry Bradshaw a chance to accomplish 3 things. The first Bradshaw goal was to tie the game, and he did so when he found tight end Benny Cunningham in the end zone. With Swann and stalwart double team, Terry simply chose the man who wasn't. Of course, Cunningham, who stands 6'5", is a difficult target to overlook. The second Bradshaw accomplishment was to establish an NFL record for touchdown passes in playoff competition with 25 scoring strikes. And last but not least, Vernon Perry, who burnt Bradshaw with a game-opening interception, was the victim of Terry's touchdown pass.
(1968).
In the game deadlocked at 10, Pastorini continued his commendable first-half performance and found Kenny Burroughs' replacement, Mike Renfro, number 82. With Burrow rendered ineffective because of an injury, Renfro caught the game winner against San Diego to earn Houston a berth in the championship. Later in the drive, Renfro was to fumble, however, and his turnover would prove disastrous. Indeed, Renfro's miscue would be costly, for Mel Blount's recovery allowed Pittsburgh to take over and provided them with an opportunity to take the lead for the first time in the game. Bradshaw used Franco Harris to start the drive for the lead. Bradshaw soon tired of merely pecking away for short gains. Possessing the ability to fire the ball light years away with the slightest flick of the wrist, number 12 fired deep downfield for Swan. Only a perfectly timed defensive play by cornerback J.C. Wilson denied Bradshaw, Swan, and the Steelers. Steeler frustration would not last for long as Bradshaw performed his specialty, throwing touchdown passes in important games. Rolling left and throwing right, Bradshaw found John Stallworth for a 17-10 Steeler lead. Stallworth only caught 2 passes in the first half, but like the all-pro that he is, he made them count. His 20-yard touchdown reception was vivid proof. For the Oilers, theirs was indeed a bittersweet first 30 minutes. Their only touchdown was scored by their defense, yet they only trailed Pittsburgh by a mere touchdown. After a casual stroll and a chat with a gentleman sporting stripes and a whistle, Bum left for the locker room for a more important conversation with his feisty troops. The over 50,000 who witnessed this championship game in person experienced the true greatness of Pittsburgh's steel curtain defense. In the first half, it had limited the Oilers to merely 99 yards total offense, and Earl Campbell to 2 yards on 11 carries. On his first carry of the new half, Campbell took the ball over left guard for 7 yards. The play is significant, for this was his longest run of the entire afternoon. On the very next snap, Pittsburgh tackler Joe Green met Campbell head-on in his own backfield, and the pattern of the first half was reestablished. Campbell's inability to even reach the line of scrimmage forced Houston to punt on this first series of the third quarter. And here the Oilers got the break they so sorely needed when Theo Bell misplayed the ball at the Pittsburgh 41. But it mattered not a whit, for again the Oilers went nowhere on offense. Number 12, Guido Merkins, dropping Pastorini's perfect slant-in pass on the third down possession play. It is understandable why Merkins surveyed the traffic patterns before tucking the ball away, for the black and gold was not only dealing out punishment on the line, but dishing it out downfield, too. Pastorini was generally on target today, but the Steelers secondary separated his receivers from the ball. When Ron Johnson, Donnie Shell, J.T. Thomas, and number 47, Mel Blount, couldn't do it alone, they just held on until help in the form of the punishing Pittsburgh linebackers arrived on the scene. But the chief target of the defense was number 34 in blue and white, Earl Campbell. The league-leading rusher the past 2 seasons was completely shut down. How completely is told by the telling fact that a man who averaged over 100 yards per game in 1979 managed only 15 and 17 carries against Pittsburgh. Less than a yard a carry for the worst day ever for this great running back. Campbell refused to use his strained groin injury as an excuse, saying after the game, "If I had run any faster, I'd be out of the stadium." The truth is that the Steelers charged through the line before the Oilers' setback could gain momentum or make a cut. Hardly Campbell's fault that Greenwood and company simply cut the Houston forward wall to ribbons. Reduced to the pass as his only viable weapon, Dante Pastorini also felt the Steeler wrath. Indeed, the Oiler quarterback was knocked out of the game late in the third period. Pastorini may be brittle, but no one ever accused him of lacking courage. One play after leaving the field, Pastorini was back at the helm, leading his team downfield on their best drive of the entire game. After Mike Renfro pulled in a pass for 21 yards, Dante barely beat a blitzing linebacker and hung it high for number 47, Ronnie Coleman. Another look at Coleman's second superb catch of the game shows Pastorini eyeing him all the way before the neck-snapping blitz got him. But the ball was thrown well, and Coleman simply went up and over linebacker Lauren Taves for a 14-yard gain and an Oiler first down on the Steelers' 6. One play after Coleman's catch came an even bigger play, one millions on television watched in wonder. Number 82, Mike Renfro's apparent touchdown was ruled no catch by the official, who maintained the Houston receiver did not have control of the ball when he stepped out. The effect on Houston was devastating. Instead of a tie game, the Oilers remained 7 points behind. Another look at this highly controversial play from a perfectly placed, never-before-seen angle shows that Renfro did indeed juggle the ball and did not have possession before stepping over the end line. The Oilers were irate and the fans confused, but the officials were correct. So Mike Renfro almost made one of the big plays of the game, just as his father used to do regularly as a speedy flanker for the Cleveland Browns in their championship days. Renfro could only return to the sidelines and watch as Houston was forced to settle for 3 points instead of 7 on Tony Frisch's 23-yard field goal. With their lead now reduced to only 4 points, Bradshaw came winging downfield using his 2 all-pro wideouts, John Stallworth and Lynn Swan, number 88. Swan's sliding catch gained 21 yards, while Bradshaw's bullet to Stallworth added 15. Three plays later, Matt Barr's field goal restored Pittsburgh's lead to 7 points, 20-13. In an effort to tie the game, Houston pulled out all stops, but there simply was no fooling the Steeler defense. On what would amount to their last gasp of the game, Pastorini hit Guido Merkins gliding over the middle. But even when beaten, the steel curtain snapped shut. Donnie Shell gathered in the ball on the Houston 45, and though they didn't know it then, the Oilers' season was over. After 12 years in the NFL, Rocky Bleier has lost his job as a starter. Now he comes off the bench to make his big clutch plays. Bradshaw to Bleier produced 20 yards to the Houston 17, and soon Pittsburgh's fragile 7-point pad would be doubled. It was fitting that despite the presence of so many superstars on this field today, Pittsburgh's grand old man, Rocky Bleier, number 20, was the man who settled the issue. After his fine falling catch, the Vietnam veteran personally took control of the Pittsburgh ground game and showed an entire nation once again that with the game on the line, there's no one better with which to entrust the ball. Bleier battled into the end zone with a touchdown that put the game out of Houston's reach once and for all. The AFC champion Pittsburgh Steelers were going to the Super Bowl for the 4th time in 6 years. second straight year, Houston's hopes died on the tartan turf of Three Rivers Stadium. Last year, the elements and the Steeler defense beat them. This year, the weather wasn't a factor, but the Oilers can hold their heads high, for they had given the Super Bowl champions a battle in a game many feel was more competitive than Super Bowl 14 will be. Fittingly, the Oilers exited the field surrounded by black and gold, just as they had been all afternoon when the ball was in play.